Can you even imagine a world without video games? Seriously, no arcades, no home consoles, no battling your friends online until 3 a.m.? It feels impossible. But one guy saw that future, and he didn't just see it, he built it. And he did it with one simple, powerful idea.
This right here, this is Bushnell's law. This one sentence, well, it became the golden rule for an entire industry. It's the secret sauce that launched a multi-billion-dollar empire and really defined the entire life of a man who just could not stop inventing. Welcome to HiTS, History's Inspiring Tales. Today, we're diving into the incredible life of Nolan Bushnell, the man who built a video game empire from scratch, got forced out of it, and then just went and reinvented entertainment all over again.
Now, our story doesn't start in some dusty Silicon Valley garage. Nope, it starts at Lagoon Amusement Park in Utah. Nolan Bushnell was a college kid managing the arcade. But he wasn't just fixing machines, he was studying them. He was watching people, seeing what made them spend that quarter, what made them stay. He learned something absolutely fundamental. People just want simple, addictive fun.
And this shows the lesson he learned the hard way. His very first game, Computer Space, was a clone of a super complex game called Space War that was popular at universities, and it was a total commercial flop. Why? Well, Bushnell realized his audience wasn't a bunch of computer science students. His target, in his own words, was drunken bar patrons. The next game had to be so simple that anyone could play it without reading a single instruction.
So, in 1972, he did what you do. He founded his own company. He called it Atari, which is a term from his favorite board game, Go. Then he hired his very first engineer, a super sharp guy named Al Alcorn, and gave him what he said was just a simple little training exercise to get his feet wet.
That little exercise was Pong. They put the one and only prototype machine in a local bar in Sunnyvale, a place called Andy Capp's. A few days go by, and they get a call, the machine's broken. So Al Alcorn drives over to fix it, and he finds the problem. But it wasn't a technical glitch. The coin mechanism was jammed because it was literally overflowing with quarters. Right then, Bushnell knew. He didn't just have a game, he had an absolute phenomenon on his hands.
And what followed was just an explosion. Look at this timeline. In just 3 short years, Atari went from that single arcade cabinet to selling 150,000 home consoles. The demand was insane. But to fund their next massive idea, a console where you could change the game cartridges, Bushnell needed serious cash, and that led to a deal that would change everything.
$28 million. You have to remember, this is 1976. That was an astronomical amount of money. Nolan Bushnell, almost overnight, became an incredibly wealthy man. And the sale gave Ataris the money it needed to launch the legendary Atari 2600. But it also brought a brand new player into his creative paradise, the corporate world.
And this is where things get dramatic. The culture at Atari was famous for being, well, wild. It was this freewheeling, creative chaos, famous for hot tub meetings and all-night brainstorming sessions. And it was on a direct collision course with the buttoned-down, marketing-first world of Warner Communications.
It all really boiled down to this one fundamental disagreement. Bushnell saw the Atari 2600 as just the beginning. He wanted to immediately start pouring money into creating its successor, because he knew technology moved fast and it would be obsolete in a few years. But Warner? They saw a cash cow. They wanted to shut down R&D and just focus all their energy on selling as many 2600s as they possibly could. The creator and the corporation, they just had completely different visions for the future. The whole thing came to a head in a really heated board meeting. And in the end, Nolan Bushnell, the founder, the visionary, the guy who started it all with one game and one bar, was forced out of his own company. It was truly the end of an era.
But for a mind like Nolan Bushnell's, an ending is really just a new beginning. Just before he left Atari, he made one last incredibly smart deal. For just $500,000, he bought the rights to a little side project he'd been tinkering with, an idea to create a family-friendly place to put all of Atari's games. And what was that little side project? Oh yeah, Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater. It was absolutely brilliant. It was a place where kids could go nuts playing games, eat pizza, and watch these musical animatronic animals. It was Bushnell's personal homage to his hero, Walt Disney, and it proved, without a doubt, that he could catch lightning in a bottle more than once.
But even creating 2 iconic, generation-defining companies wasn't enough. The truth about Nolan Bushnell is that he has never, ever stopped creating. He's founded over 20 companies. It's just this relentless storm of ideas coming from one of Silicon Valley's most creative minds.
I mean, just look at this list. ETAC, the very first car navigation system. It basically laid the groundwork for Google Maps. Axelon, talking teddy bears. Androbot, personal robots back in the 80s. Then there's Uwink, BrainRush, Modal VR. The list just goes on and on. This guy wasn't just a game designer, he was a true serial innovator.
Of course, even a visionary can't get every single call right. Back in 1975, two of his old employees from Atari, some guys named Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they came to him, they offered him a 1/3 stake in their tiny new computer company for just $50,000. And Bushnell turned them down. You just have to appreciate the sense of humor he has about it. I mean, that's possibly the biggest missed opportunity in the history of business. It's a moment that makes this larger-than-life figure feel incredibly human.
And his story is complex, because in the last few years, that freewheeling, anything-goes culture of Atari in the 1970s, it's been looked at again through a very modern lens, and that's led to some controversy and some pretty difficult questions about his legacy.
So here's what happened. In 2018, the Game Developers Conference was going to give Bushnell a Pioneer Award. But after an outcry on social media connected to the #MeToo movement, they rescinded the award. The accusations pointed to a toxic work environment for women. In response, a number of women who actually worked at Atari back then came forward to defend the culture, saying it was a product of the times, the sexual revolution, and that the claims were overblown. Bushnell himself issued a public apology saying if any of his actions caused pain to anyone, he apologized without reservation. So it leaves us with these really big questions, right? How do we judge a pioneer? Do we use the rules of their time or the standards of ours? Is the legacy defined by that one massive success, like Atari, or maybe by a string of fascinating failures? Or is it something else? Is it about the simple, unstoppable drive to always be building the next thing? If this story got you thinking, please hit that like button, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration, and definitely don't forget to subscribe to HiTS for more tales of human ingenuity.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and always keep believing in the power of your own persistence.